Alrighty, welcome back everyone. So you guys see it on the screen in front of you. Super Saiyan 2 LR Gohan from the BoJack movie has finally gotten his EZA, and this has been a long time coming. For those of you who remember, this Gohan actually came out back in 2020, and up to now, he was the second oldest premier character to not get his EZA, but finally Dokkan has given him some love, and we love to see it. But before we continue with the positivity, I do want to give a bit of a mini rant and say this. Why is it the Dokkan keeps dropping heat in the middle of the night for me? This is my time zone when this dropped at 1 a.m. I was knocked out, I was asleep. But they always do this. They always drop some crazy EZA announcement or some crazy heat at midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. my time, and I almost always miss it. Sometimes I'm awake to catch the information, but usually I'm asleep, I'm snoozing, and I hate it. I wish they would drop this information maybe 2-3 hours earlier, maybe 2-3 hours later or something, then I would catch it. But they always do this, and I hate it because I missed on some crazy hype stuff. Seeing all the comments, so many people have been so positive in response to this EZA finally happening. I wish I could have been there when it initially dropped hours ago, because that would have been awesome, but it is what it is. Anyways, today the plan for the vid is we're going to go ahead and go through the EZA for the Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, see what he's now capable of with his EZA. We'll also go ahead and talk about how you want to build him with the hidden potential system based off what his EZA can now do. And we'll also talk about how Super Saiyan 2 Gohan can fit into the current meta with the recently released characters like Gohan, Goten, and Trunks, one of the top characters in the game. So we will talk about how this Gohan can now fit in the meta, obviously, as we go through part EX of the GDC celebration. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the vid though. If you do, show your support, drop a like down below, subscribe to the channel, comment down below your thoughts. And also today, I want to go ahead and try to give you guys a bit of a challenge when it comes to the comments down below. I want you guys to let me know in the comments below, what is your favorite moment of Gohan in his entire life? It could be from future Gohan or present Gohan or whatever, but what is your favorite moment for Gohan? Not your favorite form, but your favorite moment for Gohan. For me, I feel like a lot of people are going to say Father Son Kamehameha, but I would be wrong if I didn't bring up the whole I'm my father's son from the English dub of this movie, because if you guys know what I'm talking about, the English dub for the movie was pretty nice, especially once Gohan went Super Saiyan 2, the whole I'm my father's son against BoJack. That was so hard. It is a bit cliche for sure, but that doesn't make it any less badass. It was so awesome to hear that. I actually probably will rewatch the movie tonight just to see it, but man, that was heat. Maybe one of my favorite moments of Gohan, to say the least. Maybe actually my favorite moment of Gohan. It's kind of hard to say for sure, but yeah, let me know in the comments down below, what is your favorite moment of Gohan in terms of his history? But with that being said, let's go ahead and continue on with the vid. So yeah, first things first, let's go ahead and see what his EZA can now do. Again, this is an EZA, a plain EZA, so everything has been updated. Leader skill, super attack effects, the passive skill, all of that has been updated. So starting off with the leader skill, so we see right here, now with the EZA, he is a 150% lead for movie heroes with a 100% stat buff lead for super tech type characters in general. So bit of an interesting lead there. I will say it's kind of obvious to say this right now, but this lead is not that good at this point in time. Right now we live in an era where the best leads are 220% leads, technically 250% with the HP, but that's the current meta when it comes to leader skills. Compared to that, this is complete dog water in terms of the stats it has to offer. The category is good, don't get me wrong. Movie heroes is a fantastic category to lead, but the stats themselves are not that good. So that's the issue when it comes to Gohan's leader skill. I mean, it is what it is. Like, you really can't do anything with this lead. You may want to run it because you maybe want double Gohan, but yeah, this is not a lead that I would recommend running in the grand scheme of things. Okay, let's move on to the passive skills. So obviously a lot of stuff right here we have to look at. So with the basic effects, 200% do stats right here, additional ki +2 per ki sphere obtained, so ki is not going to be an issue for this Gohan, which is fantastic because he's an LR. Launch additional guaranteed 12 ki super, boosting the crit chance by 20%, randomly changes ki spheres of a certain type other than tech orbs to tech ki spheres. So with the basic effects, you're getting a bunch of stuff right here. Nothing crazy in terms of defensive mechanics, but still, orb changing, very helpful, not just for himself, but maybe for other characters as well on the team. And also, the additional super is nice. We'll see what the super attack effect can do. Boosting crit chance is kind of nice. For Gohan, because he's a tech type character, at 55% with the hidden potential system, we'll talk about the build in just a moment, but at 55% with the hidden potential system, you get free crit in the build. Like at 55% is free crit. But getting a boost to the crit chance on top of that, that is pretty nice and pretty helpful. So I do appreciate it right there. But yeah, the biggest things for me, the orb changing, the additional super, the additional ki, those are really nice things for Gohan to have to make him work a bit better, more comfortably in the grand scheme of things. For the first 4 turns from the character's entry, so turn 1 to turn 4, or the first 4 turns from his entry, right? He's going to be boosting his damage reduction by 30%, and he'll be guaranteed guarding all attacks. So in total, that means 2 rotations of this Gohan showing up, he'll have this 30% damage reduction and guard all attacks. So you could keep him on slot 1, slot 2, this will still be available for, like, you know, those turns, right? And then if you were to float him off, right, so turn 1 if you got him, you float him off, turn 4 when he shows up again, he will still have this for 1 more turn, but this is only temporary. So that does kind of suck, I'm not gonna lie. Losing damage reduction, losing guard, it's only temporary, but yeah, it does suck. I wish he would have kept it, but it is what it is. For every key sphere obtained, he's boosting attack and defense by 10%, so he is a nuking type of character, and that's really helpful considering right here he changes key spheres. So him changing key spheres, he's basically giving himself an opportunity to feed himself additional key spheres, which gives him more ki, which also gives him more stats. So that's going to be very helpful right there. With 12 or more ki when attacking, boosting attack and defense by 100%. With 18 or more ki, you have all this right here. So when attacking with 18 or more ki, attack plus 100%, additional attack plus 159%, and boosting crit chance by 20% when HP is 58% or less. Also, starting from like turn 5 from the start of battle, he's boosting his crit chance again by 20% and boosting attack again by 159%. Down right here, defense boost by 159% and boosting crit chance yet again by 20% when there's another movie heroes category ally on the team, or when there's another hybrid Saiyans ally attacking in the same turn specifically. And also another defensive boost right there and boosting crit chance yet again by 20% when there's an ally whose name includes Goku on the team, or when there's another youth ally in the same turn. So very interesting there. Let me just make sure there is nothing left for Gohan in terms of his passive. Yeah, so that's it. So a couple of things are kind of interesting to me. For one, there is no reward for Gohan for reaching 24 ki, which is kind of interesting, right? Like, to be fair, you're going to probably reach it because you want to get the orbs to boost his nuking right here. But considering they gave him 12 ki buff right there, 18 ki buff, I figured they would have given himself like 24 ki stuff right there, but they didn't do that, so kind of interesting. But also, that is kind of helpful, I guess, because that means it's not impossible to get 18 ki or 12 ki. That should be pretty straightforward with certain leaders and ki and everything and the links. So yeah, it's kind of interesting, but okay. When it comes to this character, you can kind of see already, there is a crazy amount of stats that this guy has to offer. And I wish I pulled up Halford's calculations. I did kind of see those already, but his stats can be kind of stupid. But important to note a few things. For one, there are a lot of conditions to be met to reach the best form of Super Saiyan 2 Gohan. The first thing is that you need to be below a certain HP threshold to get this buff right here. Now, at the end of the day, you're only missing out on crit chance and attack buff if you don't have this, but still, you're missing out on what could be some crazy buff to his damage without that. So kind of annoying that it's kind of locked there, but at the same time, it is what it is. Besides that though, pretty much everything else is not too difficult to achieve, right? This is from turn 5 from the start of battle, so very easy to get that right there. You know, this defensive boost right here when there's a movie heroes ally on the team, which you probably will have one movie hero ally on the team in general, but also with like the recent characters like, you know, Gohan, Goten, and Trunks and all the like recent youth buffs and everything, or the like the youth and hybrid Saiyan and everything. With all that going on, it's very easy to ideally get another hybrid Saiyan's ally in the same turn, and down here same thing. Pretty easy nowadays to get another youth ally in the same turn as well, sometimes both in the same time. You could get a Goku here for some of the other categories, but yeah, this should be very straightforward. And I will say, I mean, it's nice that he's getting a bit of defense, it's nice he's getting a bit of attack. I do hate though that he has no damage reduction and that he has no guard, no dodge even. This man is pure stats. And I mean, the passive skill is nice, he got a lot of stats to offer, but I would have liked if he had some other defensive mechanics, because, you know, those obviously help a lot as well, especially if we're trying to find some value in slot 1. But as it stands, this seems like a character who's going to be slot 2 and slot 3, and that's perfectly fine. You know what? I think it's acceptable. I'll say it for what it is. But okay, so we got all that stuff, all that's, you know, sorted out right there. Also, I actually don't want to forget this. Technically speaking, with all this different buffs right here, as you probably can already tell, 20% right here plus 20, 20, 20, 20, you'll be able to get guaranteed crits if all these conditions are met. But if you're missing, say, like this first one right here, or maybe like one of these right here, you're down to like 60, maybe 80% crit chance. That plus the hidden potential build and everything, you probably will still have a crit, you know, within the turn. So important to kind of recognize that for what it is as well. Okay, so now let's look at these super attack effects. So with the 12 key super, 12 key and 18 key are both melee super attacks. 12 key super greatly raise attack and defense for 1 turn, cause colossal damage, and greatly lower defense. That can be pretty helpful, pretty nice right there. And raising both attack and defense is nice for a character who has a lot of stats to offer. With the 20 key, or not 20 key, excuse me, 18 key right there, whoops. With the 18 key, raises attack, greatly raises defense, and causes mega colossal damage to the enemy, and massively lowers defense. This, wow, that's actually pretty crazy. So basically what this means, for those who can't tell right away, Gohan is stacking both attack and defense, but he's stacking his defense at a greater rate than his attack. And actually, if I remember correctly, this is basically the exact opposite of the Int Broly from last year's Worldwide Celebration campaign in terms of the super attack effect. Matter of fact, real quick, let me go ahead and just kind of pull up that Broly right quick, so we just kind of can make sure. Bear with me for a sec here, but if you guys remember who I'm talking about, right? Int Broly from last year, right, with the Worldwide Celebration EZA right here. Last year, he got this EZA, which greatly raises attack, raises defense, does damage. But the way this was kind of worded, basically he was raising his attack at a higher rate. You see right here, 50% boost to his attack, 20% boost to his defense. If this is to be expected with Super Saiyan 2 Gohan right here, with his 18 key right here, that means he's going to be raising his attack by 20% and raising defense by 50% with each 18 key super, which is pretty helpful. That's really helpful for a character who wants stats. That'll make him pretty tanky, especially, you know, in slot 2 and slot 3, where already he's able to get a bunch of stats from his passive skill right here. So honestly, a bunch of great stuff right here. They didn't update his active, so let's go over the active right here. Can be activated once the HP is 58% or less with movie heroes. Matter of fact, let me just go ahead and just go back to the original kind of a kit right there from Gohan. I know he's got to be here somewhere, as like the LR or something. If I can just find Gohan. Where is Gohan? Wow, I cannot find Gohan. That's really odd. But anyways, oh, never mind, because I had him on a separate page. No wonder. Whoops, my bad. Anyways, so with Gohan, right, with the active, can be done when HP is 58% or less with the movie heroes category ally whose name includes Goku on the team, starting from turn 5 from the start of battle. So they didn't update the active skill, it would seem. So this is still a condition where, unless you have Goku on the team, which isn't impossible, but you know, most likely you won't see that happen on his ideal team, which now includes the hybrid Saiyans and everything. But I mean, with the active, he still gave himself a good amount of attack buff for 1 turn, key plus 12. So that was all nice, but yeah, I mean, given the grand scheme of things, maybe you won't see this active as often nowadays as we would like, given like the ideal teams for him. But I mean, hey, you could still slot him in with some Gokus, so it's not the end of the world for sure. But yeah, this Gohan is very interesting. Actually, I do really like him in terms of what he has to offer. Again, not a character for a leader, but definitely seems like a really good slot 2, slot 3 character, especially when you look at how much he has to offer with his stacking with the 18 key, as well as the stats he has to offer right here. Real quick, before I forget, let me just go ahead and kind of look up Halvard real quick, because I know Halvard did the calculations. I don't want to miss those, because obviously the calculations for Gohan are very important right here. So here we go. These are the calculations. Man, that is very tiny right there. So let me zoom in. So these are the calculations for the EZA for Gohan, with like the different kind of like allies and everything. Obviously the way he can kind of work and everything. Obviously this is with the double int LR. I believe it's like the LR Gotenks active, because that gives 20% to youth allies and everything. But all the different buffs. His maximum possible defense is 9 million. Which is insane. Almost double-digit millions right there in terms of maximum possible defense for a character like that. And to be fair, this, like, I don't think this takes into account the fact that he's basically continuously stacking, right? So technically speaking, he can well exceed that, right? So yeah, this Gohan is very special. I will say, when it comes to how to build that Gohan, like how you want to design the character and everything, I will say for the hidden potential build, what you want to do with this character based off what he has and what he doesn't have, I think the ideal setup is to go dodge, heavy dodge, and then a bit of additional. And the reason why I say heavy dodge is because that will help Gohan significantly, especially early on in fights where, yes, you have the damage reduction in the guard, but maybe he still isn't tanky enough to handle what is coming his way early on in a fight. Now, eventually, once he does the stacking, he'll be fine. But, you know, the dodge will still serve as a bit of a buffer for protection to avoid any sort of crazy damage, because some bosses nowadays hit stupid. They literally like hit with the definition of like nukes. Like they're insane damage. So the dodging will help him against certain types of bosses, and also a bit of additional will allow him to boost his stats within the turn, but obviously he's not stacking with the 12 keys, stacking with the 18 keys. So the additional is not going to get you that 18 key, so I wouldn't say it's as important as opposed to dodge. And really, don't even give him any sort of crit with him potential build, because it's kind of obvious. He has a bunch of crit already to offer. At 55%, you don't even have to have a dupe in him. He'll already give you crit with level 5. So you don't want any more crit than that. Focus on dodge and then give him a bit of additional is fine, but heavy on the dodge. Maybe like a 2-to-1 or 3-to-1 ratio between dodge and additional. That's what I would suggest right there. But yeah, I mean, man, this Gohan is really interesting, very powerful. I think I've seen some friends of mine and some people say he's not that crazy good. I kind of disagree. I think this Gohan, maybe I'll say in the title, I think he's deceptively good. I feel like on paper, you look at this and you're like, hey, there's so much wording here, but also when you really look at it, you're like, actually, this may not be that good. I think this Gohan is going to be a lot better than we may give him credit for, because he's got the stats, he's got the stacking, and he's boosting himself with nuking abilities. All three of those things can make Gohan do some crazy work, and we just saw Halvard's calculations, so all that is going to be pretty nice, I think, for Gohan. I'm really excited to get his EZA, obviously an LR EZA, so more Dragon Stones. This is going to be a great time for sure. But okay, let's talk about how he kind of fits into the meta. I did kind of mention that with his active skill, but let's kind of go at it a bit more in greater detail. And actually, I do want to pull up some of the images you kind of probably saw already earlier in the vid, because some people have already been building team comps with the new Gohan in mind. Obviously, we do see Gohan, Goten, and Trunks right here at the front. They are, without a doubt, one of the top characters in the game, and they are very important for characters like you see right here with Super EZA, Goten, and Trunks. Technically, even like Gotenks and Beast for sure, but also the two Super Saiyan 2 Gohans, right? Because think about Gohan, Goten, and Trunks, for those of you who don't know, right, in case you maybe aren't aware, Gohan is able to give a good amount of support on his side of things, right? But also, Goten and Trunks, they have an active which gives 20% like buffs to allies, right? Youth category allies, right? When you look at the youth category, right, if we go back to this image right here, the youth allies who benefit are the Super Saiyan 2 Gohans, are the Super EZA right here, Gotenks. They will benefit from that, including Gohan, Goten, and Trunks. So, I mean, realistically, that active is going to be so helpful, making characters like, the tech EZA so much better early on. It's not even funny. Obviously, the support to offer everything. Having another youth ally who's going to likely be very good with Gohan right here, who's going to boost them, right? That means they'll be able to do more damage, right? Because they want youth allies on the team. So I really think this is one of those situations where I said it in my should you summon vid, which I just recorded earlier, like before this vid. I don't know which is gonna come out first, but I said it in that vid. There is kind of like a weird like recycling kind of cycle kind of situation right here where Gohan, Goten, and Trunks, they serve as a really nice buff with the stat buffing and everything, the support that Gohan can do, plus this kind of 20% with the active, but also they benefit from having allies in the youth category. So these other allies will buff them, they will buff Goten and Trunks who can do crazy damage, and then in turn this unit can provide a bunch of support with the active and everything, which will buff those other allies, making them better as well. And again, Gohan right there with EZA, he's stacking attack and defense. So this is going to be so special. This is going to be so fun. I wish I had a copy of this Gohan, Goten, and Trunks. Some people have him. I know a lot of people who don't. But yeah, this is a very interesting team that's kind of existing. I still don't think it's the best team in the game right now. Maybe you guys disagree. But this is a very funny team in terms of how it's kind of working. I really do think that this Gohan is going to fit really nicely in the current meta, especially under a team like that. That's going to be pretty special. Shout out to Ryan, of course, who came up with that team comp, because that is a really nice team right there. Maybe not the best team. I think there's maybe some debates on what's the best team comp for Gohan, Goten, and Trunks. But Gohan is going to be eating for sure in that team. So yeah, all sorts of like positive kind of response to that. You love to see it. When we talk about Gohan though, I don't want to forget this. When you talk about his categories, right? He's on a crap ton of categories, right? What's that? 3, 6, 9, 12, 18 categories demonic power, earth protecting heroes, which is under the tech Super Vegito elite if you want to run him there, movie heroes, hybrid Saiyans, Goku's family, which is great, of course, Super Saiyan 2, full power beyond Super Saiyan. This guy is on a lot of great stuff, tournament participants, right? So really, really amazing stuff. Unfortunately, unless my memory is kind of forgetting this right here, he doesn't fit with the new GDC like leads and everything for part 1 and part 2. He doesn't fit those teams, but he does fit the part EX, Gohan, Goten, and Trunks, of course. He does fit, you know, like Tech Super Vegito. So those are some really powerful characters with great leads who can cover this Gohan, which is really nice right there. So yeah, man, I'm really excited to see what we're cooking with this Gohan. We don't have the data download quite yet, so we don't know specifically when his EZA will drop in the game. We don't know all that sort of stuff. I expect it will happen either tomorrow or the day after, right? Because day after tomorrow, that would be, I believe it would be Friday. So yeah, I will expect it then. But yeah, this is going to be very exciting for sure. In any case, that's going to be where we wrap up the vid. Obviously, we went through the EZA. We did talk about how to build the character, which again, with the hidden potential build, prioritize dodge, give him a bit of additional, but no crit whatsoever. Don't give him any crit, prioritize dodge, because that dodge will be a nice added kind of buffer of safety for him apart from the stats. And then, man, this guy just, I think he's going to be very powerful. I think he's deceptively very powerful in terms of what he can do. The more I think about it, the more special he seems to be to me. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Again, if you guys enjoyed the vid, show your support, drop a like down below, subscribe to the channel. Thank you all so much for watching. Take care, stay blessed, and I will see you all in the next one.